us alive now. You forget about that one. And you keep them coming in. You're doing well, son.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Hey, see, you're still getting ready. We caught you.
Putting on my lip gloss. Oh, happy, what day is it? I don't even know anymore. Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. It is. I'm going to tell you what, with this heat, I think the only song playing on the radio stations here in Missouri is Swamp Ass by Global Warming because it's hot as hell.
Is that a song? I haven't heard that.
No.
I'm going to have to listen to that.
It's not a song. Man, if it was, that's what they'd be playing.
Oh my goodness. I thought that was a song. Oh, I was going to say, because it should be. If that's the case, it should be a song for sure. Sorry.
Hey, I'm learning guitar.
I meant to stick on this on my Facebook, and give me just a second here. It just popped up, and I'm sorry. I apologize for doing this in the middle of our broadcast. So, okay, we're good now.
This show is brought to you
minor
by
details.
Professional Studios.
Oh goodness. It just like popped up and it won't go away. So give me 1 second here. Okay. There we go.
I had a girlfriend like that.
Just wouldn't go away.
Wouldn't go away.
Just popped up and wouldn't go away.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. That's a true story. She even followed me in the bathroom.
Oh Lord!
Had to go. Had to go.
Ain't no privacy.
No. I said, "Holy shit! If you was a Star Wars character, you'd be a Klingon."
It reminds me of the goats. Oh my goodness, that goat thing you told me today was hilarious.
I'm telling you, it's a real thing. People are paying to go to goat yoga.
Goat, yeah, we were talking about ways to relax and meditate. And we were talking about tonight, we're going to talk about some calming methods to kind of help you recenter yourself and you know, remove some of that negative energy. And he's like, you mean like goat yoga? I was like, what's goat yoga? So naturally I had to look it up. So I did, and people got goats crawling all over them. And I mean, they're cute, you know, but they poop. They're like guinea pigs. They poop everywhere. So I don't feel like that would be such an experience, a relaxing experience, you know, as you roll over.
I just picture some of these city folks that are paying for this. You know, that we're gonna go play with the cute little goats. They're so cute. Next thing you know, they've ate all the way down your underwear and shit on your back, and you're like, this is not as much fun as I thought it was.
Oh, well, they needed some air vents from all the heat. You know, it's like a 2-for-1. little air pockets.
Let me tell you something. We bought a house out in Georgia, and there was this little, I say little, but it was probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter acre area that they had fenced in. And I couldn't get my lawnmower in there without taking the deck and everything off, and I got tired of it. So I bought 4 goats, and I didn't mow that area for 12 years.
They do the mowing for you.
So I know. Yep, that's what I'm saying. It cost me about $25 a week in feed. I mean,
oh my goodness,
you can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't for sure. Well, they eat everything too.
You know?
So they're not only mow your lawn, but they'll eat your plants and your flowers and
Yeah.
everything. But you won't have to mow your lawn anymore.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, that's, in the heat, I'm sure that's always a nice thing to be able to just be like, yeah, they took care of it for me.
They even
goodness.
after Christmas is over, we just threw our Christmas trees in there. They ate that shit too. I mean,
They eat Christmas trees.
it was perfect. I mean,
Oh my goodness. I
they
need to get
did.
me a goat just to live
You know,
around
for
the
like the
house.
next,
Be
for like
"Here,
the next
clean
3
dishes."
months, they shit jingle bells.
Jingle.
For like the next 3 months, they shit jingle bells.
They look like little jingle bells or little pellets.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were like dingleberry, dingleberry, dingleberry all the way. I don't know where this show's going already.
I don't either. That is a new song, that's for sure. That's gonna be a hit this winter for Christmas.
Brought to you by global warming. Their Christmas album, their greatest hits, Dingleberry all the way.
So how was your week this week so far, or last week, I guess I should say, since we've seen each other last?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, man. With this heat, I swear to God, I think I like lost it today, about halfway through the day. And when I came to, I was like, oh, thank God today's Friday. And I was like, oh shit, it's still Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
Yeah, it's hot.
Oh goodness.
I know, man. But I was like, thank God today's Friday. It's been a long week. Shit, it's day 2.
Oh man. I know. And when you realize that, it's like, oh, I have so many more days to
I
go,
had to
but
like
we're getting there.
Yeah, I had to think of what the positive side was of that. I zoned out for about 2 hours of work, so I don't remember anything that happened during that time frame. So there's the positive side.
Okay. Hey, that's all right. Oh. I had quite an interesting
how was your week?
myself, I tell you what. It was good.
You always do.
Well, this one's pretty funny, actually. Another lovely something that happened in my life. So I went back into the eye field. I was telling you about that last week. So I actually started my job last Friday, and they made me one of the lead technicians of the office. So it's pretty cool. I actually have like a leader position, and I really like it a lot. So I was getting ready to take a patient back, and I already know the system and their routines and everything, because it's the same stuff I had at my other office. So, I mean, I really just jumped right in and started going. I went and took a patient back with all my confidence. And I got in the room, and we start checking the vision and doing the pre-test workup, all the workup stuff I have to do for him. And I got these new scrubs, and they're nice, and they feel like silk. So they're super breathable and comfortable, especially in this heat. I went to go sit on the stool in the exam room. So we have linoleum floors, and the stools have wheels. So I went to go sit down, and the stool went flying behind me into the wall. I landed on the floor. This is my first day there. I landed on the floor, legs up in the air and all. Like, I ass planted hard. And the guy in the chair was rolling. He looked down. He's like, oh my God, what just happened? he had to help me up off the floor. The doctor heard me slam into the wall next door. And mind you, this is my first day, making an impression. And here I am falling out of my chair. And so he helped me up, and he got me back to a standing position and everything. And the funniest part about this, and this is where, you manifest your reality, right? The funniest part about this is 15 minutes before this happened, I was talking to some of the girls in the office, and they were talking about silly things that have happened in the past. And I was like, have you guys ever fell out of your chair in front of a patient? And they were like, we've done that once, long time ago. And I was like, I know, I did that years ago. I hope never to do that again. That was the most embarrassing thing in my life. And what do? I straight fall on my ass. So that was my exciting week. And I have like bruise the size of like 2 baseballs on my hip and my butt cheeks now. But, it's cool. I laughed through it, and got through it. And I made his day because he went out to the optical department to get his glasses, and he told everybody in optical. So then the entire office now knew it wasn't just a secret between him and I anymore. It was the entire office that the new girl just fell on her ass. So I'm forever known as
you should have
Clips McGee.
You should have yelled workman's comp. You should have been like workman's comp.
Oh, so
I had a boss one time. We had a boss one time. He had me up on changing the signs. It was an automotive shop, and I guess everybody there was afraid of heights, and they didn't have the long pole to change the little letters and everything up there. So I got a ladder and started climbing there. And the boss seen me, and he walked out, and he said, "I just want to let you know, oh shit sounds a lot like I quit. So if you fall, before you hit the ground, it's going to sound like you said you quit. So you're no longer covered by my insurance."
You voluntarily quit.
Yep.
Oh,
said,
goodness.
That's ruthless.
That is ruthless. Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, man. So us military people, we always find the humor and shit like that, but it is true. It does sound a lot like I quit.
Yeah.
I should have told that a lot to my soldiers,
Right. Instead of oh shit, it's I quit.
Yep. Damn it, I quit.
Oh my goodness. And that's one thing too, like now that I am back, and this kind of pertaining to like our subject for the night, now that I'm back in the healthcare field, that is a place where, I deal with a lot of patients that throughout the day, they're coming in because, they're not necessarily just coming in for a routine eye exam. They're coming in because, they have glaucoma, or they have diabetic troubles, or they have, their vision is slowly being depleted because they're, older, or whatever the case might be, or maybe they've got trauma, and so I'm now dealing with a lot of heaviness throughout the day, and a lot of us every day, when we wake up and we get up in the morning and we start our day, it's supposed to be a fresh start, right? It's supposed to be like, okay, we're going to move forward. We're going to think positively. We're going to seize the day, and then you get to work and you have a coworker that's just being a poop, right? Just in a bad mood, grumpy, not happy, or, maybe something happens and the boss yells, or, someone comes at you and kind of just gets at your throat. Instead of being like, hey, let's see what's going on here, they bark at you, right? Or so, and then all those things that happen to you throughout the day start to compile in you, right? And you're starting to build that negative energy bias, because even though you're not doing it consciously, it's more of a subconscious thing. You're already dealing with, shit, this guy just yelled at me. This one's over here doing something wrong. This just broke down. Now I don't have time to go to lunch, or whatever it might be, right? And then those negative feelings are starting to compile on you, and I feel like that's what a lot of people go through every day. They get up and they think, okay, I'm going to try, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to, do whatever I have to do for the day. And then you get that negativity around you, and the negative environment and the negative energy, and, maybe people just not being nice or kind, or someone saying something, or whatever it might be. And all of a sudden that takes that little bit of positivity that you could have had, and it kind of just pushes it to the side. And the next thing you know, you've got this whole like, oh, great. This is my day's going to be shit. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to, I'm going to deal with this person talking about this person. I'm going to deal with these negativities over here because these people are all, you know, in a negative mindset or what have you. And now I'm in the center of it all. Right.
Yeah.
So that was something like that with me going back into this field, I really work with now, is that at the end of the day, how do you decompress yourself after going through stress, after going, you know, maybe already having PTSD, already having depression, already having anxiety, and, you know, mental health struggles, whatever they may be, insomnia. How at the end of the day do you come to your center and be able to start fresh and like let it all go, you know?
So, you know, this kind of goes back to a show that I had. It was during my first season. There's an organization, right, called she's the veteran.org. And she brought it to my attention. You know, going into that interview, I did not really think about what she was doing. And by the time it was over with, I had a whole different opinion, right? So what she does is she strictly deals with PTSD and TBI for females, right? She doesn't do anything with males. And the reason for that is because all the stats and everything about PTSD is like 98% male based.
Right.
And there is a huge difference between how men deal with things and how women deal with things. And I'll give you a for example, right? So when I was going through this, I'd come home from work, I would eat my dinner, and I would take my ass to the bedroom, and I stayed there until the next morning. Right? Had it been my wife that had this, she couldn't do that.
Right.
You got the kids and everything else, and that
Yeah.
Motherly instincts just kick in. So females have to deal with it a little bit differently. You know, they not only do they compress it, but they put that smiley face on and everything else. Men don't. You know, I mean, you know, we may not tell you what's wrong. You just may assume that we're grouchy and being a dick, you know, and we go about our day, you know. But for the most part, unless you're in public or you just don't want somebody to pry, that you're afraid is going to pry, at home behind our doors, we don't put on that mask, to where I think mothers probably would in front of the kids, you know. So I can't give that example for how do you digest as a woman, but as a male, I can tell you what I did. I reached for the only tool I had, which was anger. So, you know, I remember a lot of things. I did two things. So, the first thing I did was anger. And if something pissed me off, it went flying across the garage or whatever, you know, and, I would get into arguments with people and so forth. Right. And then as things was going further and further, and I was thinking more of just ending things, I started getting rid of shit. I was pissed off at my son. We had built a 78 Z28 together when he was 15. I taught him how to paint the car. We worked on it, got it running, the whole 9 yards, right? And I had a whole bunch of interior parts and everything else, and me and him was fighting. I gave all that shit away. I mean, I emptied my garage of every prized possession that I had. I traded my my diesel truck for a piece of shit Camaro. You know, I mean, I just, at that point, I was hitting rock bottom, you know?
Yeah.
So during those time frames, when you're in that situation and you are looking for help, there is no way to digest because you're full. You know, whatever is coming down on you at that point is no longer being able to be packed in no more.
Right.
You know, now that I'm past all that stuff, and I use that word loosely, but now I know there is ways to digest. So there's things that I do, like I keep myself extremely busy. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm not that guy that just sits on the couch. I am doing something, whether it's working on the
Right.
radio station. I work 2 jobs. I'm dealing with my podcast, this show, and I just stay busy, because not so much that I'm one of those guys that has to stay busy. It's if I don't, my mind is going to start thinking, and then I
Right.
have to deal with shit. Well, um, what a lot of people don't know is Monday was my first day, but I joined a support group to help me start digesting some of this stuff. And
Good.
I reached out, and things worked out the way I'm glad it did. Not the way I expected, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did. And now I'm on my way to dealing with some stuff that's just, going deeper into where I've got myself, so
And that's amazing, just to even admit that, just to even come out and open up and say, listen, I've got some stuff still,
yeah.
and I, that's amazing. I'm proud of you for doing that.
I mean, my temper is still there. Anybody that's around me for a lot, they know, I have ups and downs, and there'll be days that I talk a whole lot to people, and then there's days that you don't hear shit from me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just because that's one way that I deal with it, to make sure I don't digest and just, vomit on a whole bunch of people and give them a bad day. I just stick to
Right.
myself, and I know when those days are. And hell, like I said, even at work, sometimes I'm working, I just don't feel like dealing with people, so I shut my door, and they can just assume I'm not there. So
And that's one thing I love too about so many different organizations that are starting to come together. There's what's it, fishingfor22.org.
mhm,
There's different types of veteran organizations that are coming together out there to do like hiking trips and camping trips and workout routines and kayaking trips, boating trips, tackle 22 fishing. That's what they're
mhm,
called. There's so many amazing avenues out there for everybody. Sometimes, and this is another thing too. Like, and even as a man, I've seen men that start to paint, or they start to really read, or they start to get into some sort of art activity, whether it be like building something or whether it be growing. There's one guy on TikTok, his name is Chris Nkaida. He's a veteran, and he just recently lost his service dog. But he has just started working at a butterfly conservatory, where he takes and cares for all the butterflies that are in there and all the plants and stuff that are in there. And to him, that's a peaceful thing for him to be able to go in there and to be able to care for living things and to be able to just be in nature, versus
mhm.
somebody else after, they've been going through struggles and frustrations and negativity and dealing with PTSD, dealing with mental health, dealing with insomnia, whatever it might be. We've got tackle 22 fishing, right, where you can go on fishing trips and you can not only have time to do what you love, right, and express that in your fishing and your camaraderie and your connection, but they also take time to go out there and literally find ways to open up to one another, through those
Yeah,
moments, through that relation. You may be going out there for a fishing trip, but you also may find you're somebody out there that relates to your story that you start opening up to. So then it's much more than a fishing trip. It's a healing trip, or you've
yeah,
got the guys that take veterans on hikes, and it's known that when you walk and when you're exercising, when your body is moving. He was talking about, and I hate to say that I don't remember the name of the organization, but he was talking about how, like, he'd get in a hike, you get up there, you get your heart pumping, your blood pumping, and you'd start going, and then you start talking about some of the traumas that you've gone through, some of whatever's bothering you, whatever's stressing you out. And those are ways to start to get inside and release, some of those demons that you're living with on a daily basis.
Well, I know if I'm going hiking, that's my trauma at that moment. Fat guy hiking. That's some trauma.
Hey, I'm feeling you there. I'm not a hiker myself, but I like hiking, but not like crazy hiking, But in nature, and I know from a woman's standpoint, me being a woman, and seeing eyes in a different way, having a different way we cope and a way we handle. Because you're right, going through trauma. I'm not a veteran, but I was an Army wife for a long time. And I have gone through some pretty heavy stuff. Unfortunately, I have gone to one too many funerals. And I have had to be a very big part of those funerals that, where we're part of our military family. And especially when I was a family readiness leader, I had to go to a 21-year-old's funeral. That was really hard. I had to present their dad with a shadow box. It was a really, really tough time for me, and so I don't ever say that I have had PTSD, because I don't feel like that's my place to say that. But have I gone through painful, traumatic things? Absolutely. And it's true. We do have to put, as parents, especially as the mother role, we're the nurturer, we're the carer, we're the lover, we're the ones that are supposed to be that emotional connection to our children. And when you're dealing with trauma and you're dealing with, PTSD, and you're dealing with struggles, you have to put on, and I know for me, personally, I've put on that face for my own children when I've been going through pain and trauma and things like that. And I have literally, sat in my driveway and bawled my eyes out before I came in the house, at times in my life, or I sat in my bathtub and had a few glasses of wine and locked the door, and just cried, because we have to let that out. And, women are criers. We cry. That's an emotion release for us, to be able to kind of keep moving forward. And so it's true. Men are very, very different than women when it comes to different healing techniques and different ways of handling things. But I feel too, like there are some methods that men could really use that truly, once you get out of the whole, like, okay, this is dumb and lame, thing, get past that part of it. There are breathing exercises that you can do that literally will help change everything that you go through, your mindset, your body. And, that's what I've been starting to teach and do lives with on TikTok and things like that now, is giving people a platform at the end of the night where you can come and you can just, it's chill music. I got a cool background, and, I just sit there and maybe you've had a shitty day. Maybe you don't have anybody positive in your life. Maybe you're dealing with something, like you at home or with work, or you've had a long day and you don't have anybody with you right now. You're getting through life, right? Your wife is here, you're there, you're going to work, you come home, you have the same routine in and out. And so I've just tried to start developing something. And this is something that everybody can do for themselves at home. Like you can do it for yourself, take 20 minutes, take 30 minutes somewhere at the end of the night before you go to bed, and just dim your lights and put on some music. It doesn't have to be meditation music. If you don't like meditation music, you can just put on something that soothes your soul, and really there's some breathing exercises that you can do where I've literally started teaching, like how you inhale the positive things, even if you have only one thing in your life, even if it's just, something from the past, because you can't think of anything positive at the moment. If you can even think of just one positive thing that you've gone through in life that brought a smile to your face, whether it's your family or your service or whatever it might be. And, you start with that. And when you're exhaling, at the end of the day, exhale everything that went wrong in your day. You know, something broke down, someone yelled at you, someone was disrespectful, you know, whatever it might be. You know, maybe you're feeling worthless today, or you're feeling like you just can't go on another day, or you're not enough, you know, and take those moments and exhale that, you know. And I talk about doing it like 4 or 5 times just to really center yourself, and you'd be surprised. And these are things that we were taught in middle school or in elementary school, when our teacher would lay us down on a mat and put on silly music that we all thought was hilarious when we were younger. And the boys would all make fart sounds and, you know, not close their eyes. and they would throw things when the teacher wasn't looking, spit wads, all that stuff, you know. And the girls were trying to do it, but then they were laughing at the boys. But you know what the funny thing is like, I remember that from my childhood days, and now I talk about it at the age that the teacher was, and I'm like, you know, this is really a good method.
All I know is in my class, those weren't fart sounds. That was the real deal.
It might have been. I mean, I just tell you what. I just know there was always fart sounds, and there was always spit wads, and there was always like, you know, and just like different things, just because everybody thought it was a silly, goofy thing. But, you know, when you think about it, like, you know, 35, 40 years later, you're like, dang, that teacher was on it. Like, she knew a secret that is now, you know, helps me now. So it's something I do every day, and it's really changed my life a lot.
I know now that I got older, I miss naps.
You know, I feel like naps should be something that, you know, is just required at work. Like, you're required to take an hour nap while on the job somewhere down the road.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I just think that there's so many different things that we can do to tackle that negativity bias, you know, and there's so many different options out there too, which I think is really, really neat. And, you know, for a lot of people that don't know where to start.
Well, before we go into the different options, right, let me talk a little bit about what I think is the normal path that a veteran goes on. And the reason why I say normal, because that seems to be, you know, the one thing that we're good at is we have to look like the guy next to us. So we follow their lead, right? And so it seems like, and I did the same thing, right? You get out, and when you first get out, you're like, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then reality slaps you in the face, and your demons and everything start boiling, and problems start rising. And then when you finally get to that point where you're like, I need help, right? You've already heard so many horror stories about the VA, but you try that route, and then life just kind of kicks you in the face again, because, you know, most people don't have the experience that they're expecting. You know, there's no aha moment when you walk in that door. It's, oh shit, you know, and then you go away from that, and you're like, I just need to be around veterans, and they move from that to all these like Facebook groups and everything. And you see it all the time, man, is you go in these groups, and it's like, I'm having a day, and this is wrong, and life's kicking me in the face, and everybody's like, I got your back, I can help you, let's do this, give me a call. But then when you call, this shit goes to voicemail. And it's just a bunch of people putting shit to make themselves feel better. Not that they really give a shit about other people, you know. And I'm not speaking about all groups. I'm just saying there's a lot of toxic groups out there, and it's hit or miss, you know, when you get in these groups, that they really are for you. A lot of them are just there to see how big they can make the group, and how many likes and shares and followers and all that shit they can get, you know.
Right.
Or how many t-shirts they can sell, or whatever, you know. And then when you finally, you know, at that point, I call that now you have a choice to make. Do you just give up and start isolating yourself and going back down that way, or do you continue to start looking for help, you know? And for me, I continued to start looking for help. I started reaching out to other people and asking them what they're doing, people that I trusted. I finally got hooked up with a good therapist, and I started getting some help. It wasn't with the VA, by the way, but I paid for it through my insurance. I had a copay the whole 9 yards, and I did it because I needed help. It wasn't about trying to get a VA claim or any of that stuff. I was to that point, and I was tired of living this life of ups and downs, and I couldn't get it from, the Facebook groups that people would refer me to. I didn't have that close bond between soldiers and leaders and everything anymore again, and I was in a truck by myself for 6 weeks at a time. So, you have to make that choice. And so when you go out there and you decide I need help, you have to decide how bad you want it, because not everywhere you go is going to be the place for you. And the place that you're not having a good experience may not even be a bad place. But like we were discussing, everybody's demons are a little bit different. What appeals to them, what works for them is going to be a little bit different. And not all methods are the same. Maybe those groups that I'm talking about aren't actually as bad as they are. It just seemed like it to me,
It's just not your path,
Right.
It may be somebody else's path, but it may not be exactly what worked, for you, or what works for you may not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else, may not work for you.
I needed more than somebody just to say, I got your six, and using, the keynote phrases that we all tend to use, because that's the lingo that we're supposed to use when we're talking about it. And it just seemed like it was so glorified, and at that point I just had a shitty attitude anyways. So, it just felt fake to me. And at least the therapist I seen, he had a motive. He is getting paid to do a job to help me. It wasn't about glory or anything else. It was about insurance claims and all that. And I was good with that. He had a job to do, and I had a job that I wanted done.
And it wasn't hidden. It was in your face. You already knew. You knew from the beginning, okay, what to expect. This is how this is. This is what it's going to be. So it wasn't like any surprises that you're like, oh, okay, I just kind of poured my heart out to these people here or what have you, just to come to find out that none of these people actually even pay attention to anything I say or do. And I can understand that, where the whole giving up side of that comes in, because I get a lot of that on videos. Absolutely. Like, oh, she's just there for follows. She's just there for fame. She's just there, to get people to like her. And, that's one thing for me, is that, like, it's hard for me to have that one-on-one conversation with a lot of people, because it's draining. It is very draining. However, there is a platform and an outlet. So, like, if someone is serious and they come to me and they say, look, I'm really struggling right now, there are people that, I take my time and I will speak to them and I will talk to them and I will do what I can. But it's not it's a team effort, Right. And so a lot of times I will refer people and say, I think this person right here can really relate to you. I think you guys should link up. Let's connect, and then we're able to have that family connection there. But I think a lot of the times people don't get that in certain circumstances. So it makes it tough for people to trust other people, like you said, and to want it, and to want to keep going, to want to reach out, to want to open up, because they're not sure if the person on the other end is really there for them or not. They're there to hear them, or are they just there, Right. So,
and that's kind of where my mission is now. My mission is to get off the meds. Yes, I'm stable and I'm, I still have my ups and down days, but I can deal with things, and I can deal with stress now and shit like that. But is that me dealing with it, or is that the medication? And
Right.
I'm now to that point where, you know, if it is just the medication, then I haven't done anything, you know. Um, the problem's still there, you know. And that's where, um, when the situation came up where I was able to join this support group, I I, I took the opportunity because I've been wanting to figure out how to do it for quite a while, and the VA's method doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
I was slowly looking at other options, and this opportunity worked out. It's not a military related thing, but there is a lot of veterans there, and it does work, But what I think a lot of people misunderstand isn't so much the eh, you know that the fact that the help's not just readily there. It's not like you just open up a phone book and say, "Oh, that's the one for me."
Right.
That's not where the misunderstanding is. The
Mhm.
misunderstanding is that when you go there, they're going to wave the wand, cha-cha, and you're better.
Right.
Or they're going to hand you that pill and you're better,
Mhm.
And then when they hand you that pill and you're just taking it, and then you come back and you're like, I'm not depressed no more, but I just want to kill everybody, you know? And they're like, oh, okay, well, let's reduce
Let's
this and add
give you
this, and
another one. Mhm.
and you're like, you don't understand, but what you're not understanding is that there's a lot of mystery to the brain. There isn't
Sure.
anybody that knows everything about it. So it isn't like you go to the doctor, you got a cold, this is the antibiotic they give you, this is the steroid, hot day, go on about your business. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that works for everybody. There you go. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the same for everybody. So they have like a baseline that they start you on, and then they adjust it based off of the information you give them.
Mhm.
So if you're hiding information, that makes it that much harder.
Right.
If you're not really sure that what your goal is, even that's going to make it harder,
Right.
you know? And that's what I think the misunderstanding is how hard it really is to go through the help, not get it, but to go through it.
Yeah.
Because there's hard questions that get asked, there's deep dives, there's responsibility,
Mhm.
there's you're constantly dealing with a whole bunch of different emotions, that's changed even a little bit from the emotions you were going through during the events. you know
Right.
one of the things that pisses me off so much, and the first therapist I went to, he asked me, like, after the first or second, I don't remember, time I was seeing him, he said something really weird. He was just like, we're in the middle of talking, and he was like, oink 7-6 or some shit, right? Just some random words. And I said, what? And he goes, I'm going to ask you about that later. Just remember those words. And he said them again. And then it was like about 45 minutes later, he said, what was the words I asked you?
Mhm.
And I got 2 out of the 3, and they were all completely in the wrong order.
Mhm.
Right. And he asked me, he said, do you have TBI? I said, I don't know. Never got tested. And he said, when you came back from deployments, you didn't have to do all that. And I said, oh, I lied on all that shit. I said, I did what I had to do to be able to go home, so I didn't have to stay there and go through more tests and everything else,
Mhm.
Um, and his opinion is that I do have TBI, and there's still a lot of things out there I have, I'll tell stories, and then in my mind, I'm halfway through the story and I'm remembering, man, was that Iraq or was that Afghanistan? What year was that? You know? And my wife will ask me about, hey, you remember when the kids used to like this show all the time? I don't remember. I barely
Yeah.
remember what my kids look like anymore when they were kids, you know? And so that is another thing. Now I have frustration
Mhm.
built up because I'm here to get help. You're asking me questions. I'm giving you answers. And then I'm second guessing, well, fuck, was that even the right answer?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you've got all these emotions that are going through. You know, you got guilt, you got anger, you got frustration, you got sadness, you know. And then what's the one thing that happens when most men start crying? Well, they get pissed because now I'm crying and now I'm a little bitch for fucking sitting here crying, you
Right.
know. And so it is tough on our side to find out what works when we don't even know what we need and we refuse to let somebody else try.
And that, you know, and that's understandable. And I keep messing with my hair because I'm afraid I'm gonna catch it on fire. I have a candle behind me, so if you're wondering, I just don't want to catch on fire on live podcast. That would be pretty epic, but it's not.
This
It's
show
not.
was
I'm speaking
expensive.
it into existence, and it's not gonna happen. So we'll be all right. But you know, I wanted to
You
just
look
say
like Bill,
one
the
thing.
sound guy.
I wanted to just say one thing is that, you know, we're talking about how, you know, you're starting this therapy, this support group, and that you're also really wondering how to slowly start weaning yourself off the medication and just, you know, work with yourself, your inner self. And something you said was that, let's say I get off the medication and everything goes back to square one and I got nowhere. I want to tell you that regardless, even if you get off the medication, even if things come back and you have to start working through things again, look how far you've come and look at all the work you've put into everything that you've done so far. That's not medication related. That's you. That's your heart. That's your soul. That's your mind, your body, your spirit saying, listen, I need to change my life and I need to do things, you know, to make that happen. So even if, you know, the medication for whatever reason, you do need a little something to, you know, blend things out, you know, measure things out. That doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong, because you yourself are putting the steps forward to heal and to change your life and to make different, you know, choices and to work internally with facing your demons and having that exception that, okay, yes, I've done this. Yes, I've been through this. Yes, I made this choice, but I'm also going to forgive myself. And I'm also going to, you know, start to let these things go. I know I did them. I'm facing them. I'm looking at them in the eye, but I'm also now going to put them in a box and lock them up. And I'm going to be able to move forward with my life and heal. And don't beat yourself up if for some reason you find that you do try to get off your medication and you find that there's things are unstable and easy, because you've worked so hard to get to where you're at right now. And I just wanted to tell you that don't for a second think that if things change or, you know, go back, that you haven't worked your butt off to get to where you are, and that a part of that is always going to stay with you now. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, you know, I don't have. I think that's another thing too that goes along with this show too. Is, you know, my advice for anybody that is to that point where they're ready to come out and start getting some help, and when I say that, I mean they truly want to make a change. No matter how small it is, it's not a comparison thing. It's not a, you know, whose dick's bigger thing. It's everybody's demons are different, and
Mine would be
what
boobs. I don't have a dick.
Absolutely.
Just
In today's world, you can't judge. In today's world, you can't judge. You might, you know, but I mean, a lot of
sidetracked. We have not gone down that road, so we'll be all right.
But I mean, you can't.
I haven't had one removed or put on either, so we're good. I'm all natural. Oh, goodness.
You know, you gotta keep your expectations in check, right? If you go into it and you say, I expect by February I'm going to be this, you're setting yourself up for more issues.
Yeah.
You
I think
you get to
goals
that
are
point
okay. Goals are okay to have.
realistic
I
goals.
think exactly. Realistic goals are good to have, but saying that I'm going to have it by January 1st of 2024 or whatever. Yes, I think that's unrealistic. But yeah, I think setting, a time slot, a date slot is reasonable.
I think when goals come, when you have goals, you should set them not so much as time or expectation goals. You should have today. My goal is I'm going to journal for an hour.
Yes.
And just sit there and write about my things, my issues, whatever's going through your mind.
Yes.
I watched the Guns N' Roses show today, and they made me laugh. And whatever. It doesn't. What you're writing has to be about what is in your mind at the time.
Yes.
The idea behind it, in my opinion, what worked for me was to get ideas going through your mind until they stop. When you finally got to the end and your mind is not racing no more, that's a good time to try to get some sleep, because that rest is going to help you for the next day to deal with the problems.
Yes.
Right. And so those kind of goals should be the kind of goals. Today, I'm going to dedicate 25 minutes to doing research and finding the right place for me to go.
Right.
So I can do I have the money to go to this place? Does, this doctor vibe with me? Because when you go to see a doctor for your first time, let me tell you something. He's going to fill you out, or she's going to fill you out too. Right. That first appointment, the first time I went, was nothing like what I expected. Before I even seen that doctor, I walked in thinking my first appointment, I was going to see the doctor. I seen the receptionist who handed me a packet and told me to go to this hospital and hand them this and get this lab work done. And they checked me out internally first, making sure I didn't have any hormone issues and all that stuff that could be causing my problems. Right. The next week is when I seen the doctor. And then it was just him asking me questions about who I am, the issues I'm having, how I dealt with things. You know what I mean? He was just filling me out. But you should be doing the same thing. You should be seeing if you connect to that person.
Yes.
Because it's the appointments after that, you're fixing to dump your personal garbage out. And you need to make sure that's the person that you want to talk to.
Right. That
So
you feel safe and comfortable with.
One of your goals. Yep. One of your goals should be doing some research. Take the time, look at reviews. Call the receptionist. Hell, see if the receptionist is pleasant, or do you call and she says, "What the fuck do you want, nuts?"
You ever had a receptionist answer the phone that way?
Make sure that
That's
what's that?
I would say that's probably what some of them think sometimes when they answer the phone. But I tell you,
absolutely. I tell everybody my dog needs a therapist from the shit that I told it. But I think setting those kind of goals is healthy. Because one, that is my goal. And guess what? When you sat there and you journaled for an hour, when you're done and you went to bed with a victory.
Absolutely.
You set a goal, you achieved it.
Yes.
And people says, well, yeah, that's not very big a goal. That's not a very big deal. Compared to what?
Right.
Compared to becoming the president, or compared to a guy that's celebrating the fact that he woke up today and he got out of bed.
Exactly.
Start
them small. And even though you may have visions for what you want for your future, I want to get to this point. Start with the little things, the little goals, and get those out of the way. Because sometimes that shortest, smallest goal can be the toughest to achieve because it's the first one. So sometimes it might take a day or two to get to that goal. But, focus on that. And once you achieve that one, then you can add another one and another one. And there's no time frame that you have to have that done by. You know, as long as you work on it a little each day is the best thing to start to move forward.
What's going on, Travis?
Hi,
yeah,
Travis.
you know, absolutely. You know, you have to look, if you're going to kick yourself in the head every time you do something wrong and you're just going to beat your own ass, then at the end of the day, you better be prepared to reward yourself when you do something right too. Because if you don't have that balance right there, then nothing is going to ever live up to your expectations. Because you're not going to notice the good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's important that you celebrate your wins and stop comparing them to other things, because it doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is.
That goes back to your environment too, though. The people that are in your circle, you know, they have to be there to encourage you and lift you up, to celebrate those wins with you. If you have somebody in that circle that's saying, oh, you're never going to change, even though you're proud of yourself, like, damn, I just did this. And look at me. I've accomplished something that I've been trying to do for a while, and I finally did it. And you got someone over here going, oh, big deal. You know, that is going to bring you down too. So that goes back to that whole negativity bias and your surroundings as well.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people with positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was our second episode, but you know, I can't believe how fast this episode went. Man, we got deep into it.
We did. We didn't take any phone calls tonight.
No.
We gotta tell people about that.
No. Now we got people wondering, man, what the hell is this show about? We've heard everything from dick measurements to
goat yoga,
natural to goat yoga. Man, talk about squirrels.
You gotta have fun. You gotta have a little bit of a.
For y'all who don't believe me, for all y'all who don't believe me, goat yoga is real. There's people paying to have goats walk all over them. So,
yeah.
If you have some goats, you might have a cash cow sitting outside.
Well, apparently there's dog yoga and cat yoga too. Apparently that's a thing. But, you know, I think it has something to do with maybe. I mean, there's got to be something to do with the animal livestock. You know, it's soothing to a lot of people. You know, that whole equestrian lifestyle that people appreciate with animals. So I guess there's something to be said for that.
If you've never felt the hooves of a goat, you people using cats are weenies, man.
I mean, I just wouldn't want to go walking on my back because they walk in their own poop. And like all over everything they eat, they poop and they walk and they poop. And then they're walking on you and they're putting poop on your back. Who knows what else they're doing?
I'm telling you, while they're on your back, they're pooping on you. It's literally like you put the quarter in and the gumball falls out. I mean, that's what happens. You know, you give them some food, turn the damn thing, and right out the back it comes. There's the gumballs.
That's how things were. Every time, didn't matter how much they're just like shitting machines. Like everything they do, they have a trail. You could always find them.
Man, they're a shitting machine.
I found a little another little short story.
Well, we are okay. Go for it.
Are you sure?
We got about 30 seconds. Yeah, we got about 30 seconds. We got about 30 seconds.
The value of money. So at the beginning of a new school year, a class teacher stands up in front of her students holding a $100 bill. She tells them, put your hands up if you want this money. Every hand in the room goes up, to which the teacher says, I'm going to give this money to someone here, but first let me do this. She takes the bill and crumbles it up in her hands. before asking who wants it. The hands still stay up. The teacher then drops the bill on the floor, stomps and grinds it into the ground, and picks it back up. How about now? She asks again. Hands stay up. Class, I hope you see the lesson here. It didn't matter what I did to the money. You still wanted it because its value stayed the same. Even with its creases and dirtiness, it's still worth $100. She continues. It's the same with us. This will be similar times in your life when you're dropped and you're bruised and you're mudded. Yet no matter what happens, you never lose your value. Moral of the story, life's hardships are inevitable, and we will all be put through the ringer at some point, often through no fault of our own. Don't let these challenges alter your feelings of self-worth. You'll always be enough. You have something unique and special to give and offer the world. And you all have a purpose here. That was it.
Awesome. That is a fact.
Yes.
I hope y'all, I hope y'all enjoy our story. I know sometimes we are like squirrels, man. You don't never know where we're going to be. But just bear with us, and sometimes we'll get to the point, man.
We'll get there.
I hope y'all enjoyed it.
We love y'all.
I hope y'all enjoyed us. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. Y'all take care, man. Be safe.
Bye, guys. We love you. Remember, you're amazing. You matter, and you're worth it. And we love you. Have a great week.
Monday morning, kids ready for school. Put on a face, he's been a fool. Said